The sun is setting and I am low on battery, but that's okay. I'm on a playground on my favorite hill in Oslo, and I want to talk about talking about emotions, because that's a really difficult thing to do, but I think it's a really important thing to do. Um, it's much harder for men than for women. We don't have that. We don't have such good examples of how to do it, and there are certain elements of the patriarchy which um, restrict, the kinds of things that dudes are expected to talk about. Um, there's and and it's probably harder for the older generation than the younger generation as well. Uh, there's some dynamics in some relationships where speaking about one's emotions is not expected, or not really expected, but like common. Like one of them I can see is parent-child relationships, because parents often think that they have to be perfect or strong for their kids, um, and obviously they don't want to burden their kids with problems that the kids cannot solve, because that'll be a bit cruel as well. But I think like what Adele did in her song "I Drink Wine," I think it's called that, in which she has a voiceover of a conversation with like a recording of a conversation with a kid, in which she says, mama's feeling down, and she doesn't know why, but it's gonna be okay. That I think is really powerful, because she's sharing her inner world with a child, and letting the child know that she may act in certain ways, but that's not the child's fault. She's struggling with something. I think a lot of kids, when they're on the receiving end of some frustration from their parents, which may have nothing to do with them at all, take it, take it, kids take it on themselves, and kind of carry that that memory or that trauma for life until they unwind it later. So, and that goes the same with friends and loved ones, and because if you say that you are struggling, you're kind of giving a signal to people close to you that your actions or your words may not come out the way you expect, because you're not in a good place. You're not operating with peak performance. So yeah, you might crash the car a little. But as long as they know, they don't have to take it on themselves. Similarly, like if you're having a hard time, and maybe you need to be like one needs to be alone for a bit, letting people know allows them to kind of understand that the reason why you're not hanging out is because you need alone time, not because they did anything wrong. And I think this openness is it's the only way for people to get to understand and read you. Otherwise, we're all suffering in silence and confusion and misplaced assumptions, and it creates drama. We don't need that. Secondly, I think that if you don't tell the people close to you that you are struggling, you're kind of robbing yourself of the strength of your network and the people close to you who may be able to help. A lot of dudes have an idea that I'll just figure it out on my own. I'll just keep my head down and solve it. But if you have people close to you who may know a thing or two, or give you a new perspective, they might just unlock the entire problem. So just talk, just speak, and be open about problems. The skill obviously is not to burden people, not to say this is your problem to solve, but just say like I'm struggling with this, and that vulnerability coming from the Latin root of being able to be hurt is what that takes trust, and that is what friendships and relationships are built on. And the silence and the wall, it's very difficult to unlearn, but I think it's a really worthy skill. Uh, and so, yeah, just talk about stuff, reach out, and trust that people care about you. So, peace. Have a good rest of the week, or coming week.